Hey there, friends, and welcome to a new day. I'm excited to jump into the Word with you, so let's just get right to it. We're just tearing through James at this point, finishing up chapter 3 today, 2 chapters left to go. So if you've got a Bible, go ahead and open them up. We're going to be in James chapter 3, verses 13 through the end of the chapter. Who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder in every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So having read the text, let's begin to ask some questions. And the first question that I've got to ask is, well, what's going on here? It might be clear to you, but it took me a while. I had to read this several times, and actually it took me several days, honestly, as I was reading it and reflecting on it to figure out what's going on here. Keep in mind, we're talking about trials overall. James's concern is to help us to grow into mature Christians. He's talking to believers about, well, you want to be mature and complete, lacking in nothing? Trials. The testing of your faith is what's going to happen. Consider it joy, because that stuff produces endurance, steadfastness, the ability to persevere through it, and that's going to result in maturity. And so we've looked at a bunch of different trials, right? The trial of partiality. How am I going to treat people? The trial of faith and works. How am I going to treat my faith? Am I going to rest in my religiosity, or am I actually going to, do I really believe this? Am I going to obey it? And we looked at the trial of the tongue. How am I going to choose to use my words? How am I going to speak? And that's the context as we get into here, because it looks like what's going on is you've got this person who says they are wise and understanding. And so James says, listen, if you are in fact wise and understanding, then just show it. In the humility of wisdom, because wisdom is humble, go read Proverbs, go read elsewhere throughout the scriptures. If you really are wise and understanding, then just show it in your good works. And that also harkens back to chapter 2, as we talk about faith and works, right? The alternative is that maybe you aren't wise and understanding, but rather your heart is, I'm jealous of what other people have. I want to be well respected. I want to be known by others. I want to be admired and respected and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's jealousy. That's ambition in your heart. And it's causing you to say something that's not true. When you say that, James says, you're boasting. You're being false to the truth. And honestly, that's not what ought to characterize Christians. That's not how we ought to live as believers in Christ. The heart that's there, that jealousy, that selfish ambition, James goes on to say that stuff it's dangerous. It's really dangerous to the person and to the community. Because whenever you see jealousy and selfish ambition in play, well, it leads to really dangerous stuff. In fact, James says, listen, for the Christian, if this is your heart, well, that's not the wisdom from above. That's not what we're supposed to be seeking as Christians, or we want as Christians, but rather it's earthly, it's unspiritual, it's demonic. Each one of those is opposite of godly wisdom, and it progressively gets worse and worse until finally it's just described as demonic. Why is it demonic? Because of the effects, because of what it does. Wherever you see jealousy and selfish ambition, like whenever I'm just trying to get what I deserve, or whenever I'm just trying to get what I want, no matter the cost, well, it pulls communities apart. It destroys communities.
Those men who bled the ground red at Falkirk, they fought for William Wallace, and he fights for something that I've never had. And I took it from him when I betrayed him, and I saw it in his face on the battlefield. And it's tearing me apart.
I don't know if you've noticed, but unity is really important to James. There's been hints of it so far. We've seen it in a couple different places, talking about partiality, talking about the effects of faith without works, the effects of the tongue. We're going to really see as we get into chapter 4. But unity is really important. Unity among believers is really important for James, Because unity among believers is really important to God. I mean, if you look in Ephesians, the whole purpose of the church existing, the point of the church, it isn't to make disciples. It is to put on display the manifold glories of God. It's to display to the world who God really is in our unity, in how we love each other. Now, as Christians, we're to make disciples, and as the church, we're going to do that. But honestly, the point of the church is to display the manifold glories of God to the whole world in our unity. Jealousy, selfish ambition, that says, screw the community, I'm going to do what I want to do. And it leads to every kind of vile practice as we get into just whatever it is to indulge my pleasures or whatever it might be. It tears the community apart. And so James says, well, the wisdom from above, godly wisdom, is very different. And he gives a bunch of different descriptors. It's peaceable, it's open-minded, it's pure, it's gentle. All those descriptors are things that have positive effects, things that honestly bring people together, knit them together, create or foster an environment where community can really flourish and thrive. They bring people together. It fosters cooperation, not competition. What we have here is kind of like the trial of complacency. But what kind of religion do you have, living or dead? But more than that, I think it's like James is saying, what kind of wisdom are you going to pursue? Whose good are you going to pursue? Like, how are you going to choose to live among others? Are you going to seek unity or disunity? And it's an important question to really consider. What is it we really desire? And that leads us to consider, well, who is God? God is, again, a God who desires unity, who is himself unified. I love the theology of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit, existing forever in community, perfectly in alignment, loving one another. And out of the overflow of God's love for himself, he created us to join in, to enjoy love and relationship and community with him. And he created us to desire community with each other, because here we're going to have a little bit of a reflection of our unity with God. God is one of peace. Like, look at the qualities of wisdom from above. This is wisdom from God. He is pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, impartial, full of mercy and good fruits, sincere. Like, this is the God who invites us into a relationship with him. This is the God who says, listen, I will give you wisdom if you ask for it. This is the God who gives generously, without reserve, because he is the Father of lights, from whom every good and perfect gift comes. And he gives these good gifts. He is this kind of a God, and yet I come along and I'm more interested in promoting myself. I mean, that statement of who is wise and understanding among you, like, I want to be known as that. I want to be seen as that. And so I'm going to do my best to promote myself in that way. I tend to use my words. We do that all the time. We're worried about self-promotion more than anything else, especially in this day and age. Have you been on social media recently? It's all about self-promotion. It's all about getting what I want. We're just loud braggarts who sing our praises without reservation. And in the end, a lot of times we want to get what we think we deserve. Like, I'm out to get what's mine. But we got to ask them, like, well, then whose good am I really seeking? I mean, honestly, whose good am I seeking? I'm seeking my own good. I mean, I love myself, so I'm going to seek my own good. But for you and me as brothers and sisters, for you and me as Christians, is that really wisdom? Well, it's earthly wisdom, it's unspiritual wisdom, it's demonic wisdom. But you and I follow a God who loved us enough to give up everything, become like us, save us, and then invite us in to life with him. And so, man, I don't know about you, but I really want to be seeking God's good. I really want to be seeking the good of others. I want to reflect him to others. And that's James's encouragement here. A harvest of righteousness will be reaped in peace by those who sow peace. So practically, okay, I'm going to seek the good not just of myself, but of my neighbor, my fellow believer. We're going to be united together. We're going to seek peace to one another. Paul writes, as far as is possible for you, live at peace with one another. Like, that needs to be what characterizes us. I'm going to seek that with you and with others in our community. I'm going to seek that with my neighbors around here, because that's the kind of wisdom that comes from above. It brings people together rather than driving them apart. So friends, let's today we're going to take some time to obey and to meditate upon what God has said. always remembering the gospel. In the end, that wisdom from above lived itself out in Christ, allowing us to belong to the family, bringing us into unity with God through Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. And because that is true, because the gospel is true, I'm going to respond to this and we're going to obey it together. So friends, take some time today, read this passage again, ask your own questions, note, summarize, walk in obedience, meditate upon it. And let's seek unity together. Let's really pursue true wisdom from above, bringing one another into a close relationship with Jesus. So whatever you end up choosing to do today, enjoy it. Seek the good of others in the midst of it. And may you take one small step closer to Jesus. Thanks for hanging out with me. Look forward to seeing you again soon. God bless.